Hey YouTube. So I'm retiring for the evening with my beautiful, lovely family. I trust that you've had a peaceful Father's Day. All right, so I have been thinking about this. It's nothing extremely deep, but I think this content creator's name is Anton Daniels. I'm not certain. You know what? I'll try to put the link. It's not guaranteed because I actually really am about to go to sleep, but I will try to put the link so that just in case I reference his name incorrectly, you'll know what video I'm referencing. Hopefully this will be short. Okay. So I had been thinking, I've never shared this, but sometimes I think about like migrating to like Germany or Russia. I'm not presumptuous. I'm like, if they would have me, I would love to. Actually, I don't know that. Like, I'm not presumptuous. I don't know if I would love to actually be there. I've seen several like videos of those two places, and it seems like really nice place to be. My primary concerns are, well, first of all, for anyone who thinks this is like something I'm gonna act on, I have like no money, so like I said that I was thinking about it. I didn't say I was actually gonna do it, but it'd be hard to go to Germany or Russia without any money. And then, okay, so first of all, I do have some concerns. First of all, I've been asking Lord, okay, Lord, just order my steps. I've been asking him to order my steps, and I believe by faith he is. And I don't have any money, so that would be an issue. But then my other concerns were honestly, like, just being completely transparent. The culture. Most people probably, I should not assume that, but I think that it's a big deal. I don't want to go somewhere and be disrespectful, even unintentionally. And I don't like that I don't have anyone there that can teach me the ropes of the culture as well as the laws that I may not be aware of. Because I wouldn't want to be disrespectful, as a person who has been graciously accepted into a country where most people will not look like me and stuff like that, and I'll be the outsider. I don't think it's smart to go in there like a bull in a china shop, So that's frustrating, right? But also like the weather. I actually cannot, and I won't go into it because it's personal, but like I actually really just cannot. Well, I'll just say it, my sinuses. And yes, this channel believes in miracles and healing. I experience it all the time. And yeah, you can have an issue and the Lord still be active in your life. That's a mystery. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into it, right? But it is possible. But yes, do believe in healing. But I do, unless the Lord heals it, I do. I heard those Russian winters and those German winters, I don't know if it's true or not, but I wouldn't want them to kill me, like literally, not to be dramatic, but seriously, like because of my underlying issue that's greatly inflamed in horrific cold weather. I barely can withstand DC, and DC is pretty tolerable even at the coldest times, but I can't imagine like I don't know if those rumors are true or not, so if they are, feel free to tell me so that I might hopefully won't like go there and die, you know what I'm saying, from my head blow up, So the winters I heard are just not for me, and frankly I would want to know that before I go. Is that true? Are the winters just horrible? I know better to go to like Siberia or something like that, but I heard that Germany and Russia are just as bad when it comes to the weather. Nothing else but just the weather. Um, to a little bit of an extent, and I don't want to like be disrespectful, but I am concerned about the trafficking thing. Um, and it's hard to say because I feel like I'm being disrespectful, but I cannot be completely honest and not mention that. But I believe also that a 5'6" Black woman is probably not what they're looking for. So that would actually work in my favor. But then again, I wouldn't want to be like the novelty or something like that. So I know it's uncomfortable, but it's the reality. It's the truth. Okay. So while I don't think that short, because in modeling and stuff, that's short, a 5'6" Black woman is what they're looking for in regards to trafficking. I would hate to be that one novelty, right? like, oh, she's different, right? I'm like, oh goodness. But anyway, that's not funny, but yeah, sometimes you have to laugh, right? So those things, but that's not my primary point. But yeah. Oh, and of course I would want to, be a contributor, because I would want to put my best foot forward. Oh, and my personality, but that kind of goes to culture. Is my personality conducive to these places? And I don't know, because I feel like the best way to know that is to have friends that know you. And I don't have any friends. Please, I'm not here this is not a sad video. Okay. I'm just saying I don't have friends. So I certainly don't have friends located in Germany and Russia who know me and who can tell me, yeah, like, you'd be just fine in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't have that. So it's like I would be going in completely blind. I don't like that. Unless the Lord told me, that's different. But otherwise, I don't like going somewhere completely blind of the culture. And it's some things I know. I've studied like so much, you guys, but it's some things you don't know unless someone tells you or you experience it. And I don't want to go and like make a ton of mistakes and like not make the best impression. And I also don't want to be repressed, right? Like I don't want to go somewhere where my personality is in direct conflict with the culture. I feel like most places I'd be fine. Especially if I can be like kind of more myself in my own personal space, like my home or something. But I still don't like to presume. I don't like to assume, because just because people are tolerating you, your neighbor is tolerating you. You're like, let me put myself in a house. I'm gonna be idealistic, because who wants to dream about being in a raggedy apartment? Like, no one, right? So I'm in my house, and you're hoping that, you're cool, with your neighbors and stuff, especially if you're a foreigner, which I would be, which I also think is kind of cool, because here in America, I'm not a foreigner. I was born here, but like, it kind of be cool and not cool, because you're like the outsider, you're like different, and you're a foreigner. You ain't one of us. But at the second hand, it'd be kind of cool to be like the only foreigner in a place. Finally, I get to be a foreigner, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm drifting off away from my point. So I remember in the Bible, Genesis, I think it's 19:9, where there is a very direct and very explosive conflict between, I believe it is the house of, what is his name? The house of Lot, and the men of Sodom and Gomorrah, as they are trying to push in and break into the house of Lot and assail him, and I believe the angels, that the angels were the primary focus. But since he protested against that, protested against that, then they took offense and they wanted to assail against him also, and said that they would assail against him worse than the angels because they took such offense at him. And Lot was a foreigner. And where am I going with this? Like, and remember, I'm an independent, so yeah, no one listens to us basically, because we're not explosive enough, right? Like, everything is, oh, you gotta hate this side or you gotta hate that side, and because we're not explosive enough, because we don't hate nobody, don't nobody care what we have to say. It's really unfortunate. It's like we're the ones that people probably should, and notice I'm saying probably, because I don't assume I'm right just because I'm independent, but we probably are the ones, because we don't hate anybody. We probably are the cool-headed, measured ones that people should be listening to, but because we don't have the venom that many people are looking for, don't nobody care what independents have to say. It's quite unfortunate. But anyway, and I was thinking to myself how they were so severely wrong. They were so severely incorrect in what they were doing and the choices that they were making. And the one thing that they could point out, and there was nothing else because they had no other leg to stand on, due to their objection to Lot's ability to protest or dissent, was that he was a foreigner. And I was thinking to myself, this is extreme, and this is it could be potentially, depending upon how I presented it, an inflammatory example. But my point is this, that in the past, not actually right now, if I was to be completely genuine, I feel like Mr. Daniels' assessment of the situation is not too far from the truth, at least from how I see it, and his the manner in which he presented. I've heard everything from stuff I will not say, because I just don't hate anybody like that at all. I don't hate anybody. I'm a Christian. I can't hate people. But at the same time, I've also heard the middle, where I think he kind of falls. And I've heard, like, very, very passive, like people who are like, you know, do whatever you want and say whatever you want, okay? And I feel like the two extremes are where I have a problem, right? You can be passionate and have conviction, right? But I have a problem with the two extremes. Like, the passive side is, you can literally say and do whatever you want. Well, there are some things you actually really cannot say or do, but that's extreme, and most people don't. But at the same time, like, it looks bad as a poor reflection on oneself, right? Like, I'm like, if you love me and you're my friend, right, and I ever go somewhere I'm acting a complete and total jerk, love me enough to stop me, okay? Love me enough to say, you know what, let's go back home. Love me enough to be like, you know what, can you please, like, let's leave this lady a tip, right? I know you're having a bad day, Charity, but let's leave. I'm gonna leave her a tip anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, love me enough to call me out if I'm just being complete train wreck, okay? Else you really do not love me, right? You don't care if I'm acting like a fool. You don't care like I'm acting like a jerk. You don't care like I'm acting like an idiot. Love me enough to tell me the truth, right? When it matters. It don't have to be with every little thing. Like, oh, look, you dropped the napkin. It's no have to be nitpicking, but like, if it really, really matters, do that for me. So that's where I have a problem with the passive, because passive is like, well, no, because you're in a country as a foreigner and you've been accepted completely. And even some of you, like, people are taking husbands and wives and accepting children sometimes that's not even there in adoption, and that is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful, 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 beautiful thing. Some are getting employed and stuff, and I feel like it's all a case by case situation. So if you are getting all this and you are of a ungrateful nature, then well, ungratefulness looks bad on anybody. And allowing someone to demonstrate that is not an act of love. Now, you can politely and with tact say, I disagree because I feel like from what you have told me, unless there's more to this story, I feel like you are being ungrateful in that I feel like one day you're going to look at this and you're going to look at what you said and you're going to regret it because you're going to have more wisdom, you're going to have more experience, you're going to get to know us better. But then at the same time, the middle is where I stand. It is just because these people are foreigners, which is why I mentioned Lot, it does not mean that they can't talk to me honestly. How do I develop a relationship with this person and I have a muzzle on them? That is not a relationship. How do I love this person and they have a muzzle on them? That is not love. How do I develop a friendship with this person and they have a muzzle? If it is real, you do not put a muzzle on someone who you value their opinion, even if it differs from yours. And even then, you're willing to talk it out, hash it out. And sometimes if it's something that you just cannot agree on, but you agree and you enjoy this person's company, or you work with this person and you're content to continue to work with them, they're a good employee, or they're a good friend or something like that, or they're a really great babysitter, a really awesome, person, then you're willing to be like, you know what, we disagree on this, but how about we just talk about something else? You know what I'm saying? I feel like that is the healthiest way, because otherwise it falls, and that's why I'm so happy to be independent, because I don't muzzle people I love. And if I have to muzzle you, our relationship is not healthy. You have to be saying something that is so harmful that what we have, and I'm healthy, so I already know this, and I don't engage in such. And I definitely don't put harmful interactions into the context of relationship. I don't label completely caustic human interactions as relationships. And I feel it is so harmful every time during like the Diddy case. They keep referring to this trafficking and to these interactions that he had, I don't care how long term, with these women that had absolutely no connection and no depth. And they keep referring to these situations as relationships. And it literally, I had to like kind of take a break from it, because I felt like my ears were burning on fire, because I'm like, you guys will call anything, I mean anything, a relationship. I'm like, how about I'm having a relationship with my pillow right now. I have a relationship with my blankets and my pillow right now. Matter of fact, it's going so great. Okay. Like, I have more of a relationship with this wall that is next to me. I have more of a relationship with the wall than this man has had with any of the women that I've heard of. I have yet to hear of something that should even be remotely designated a relationship. It's just, I can't stand, like, I've been single for so long, you guys, and I'm happy about it. I cannot stand what people call relationship these days, especially in America. Forgive me, like, if that's offensive, but it is ridiculous what people will label a relationship. Just, it's offensive, but the Lord said, just put the offense down. It is offensive what people call a relationship, quite frankly. People will call a straight up assault, like, which is what those was, a relationship, right? You really cannot, like, you cannot any longer accept blindly the terminology that people will convey to you, because literally these days words have been completely bastardized. Words have been completely raped of their original meanings. So if you blindly accept what people say, you're going to be a really messed up person, okay? Literally, unfortunately, when you are listening to media or anything, you're going to have to, you're forced to actually do research for yourself. Because if you do not, you will be accepting the most absurd delegations and labels for things that have no business being categorized as such. So in order to preserve your own intelligence, you're going to have to do your own research. But in the extremist lots, situation, and what I've heard in the past, like, shut up, like, go back. If you like, go, I'm like, they just said they don't feel welcomed. Like, can we, like, at least let her finish her sentence? This is more so in the past, by the way. So I want to be completely transparent. This is more so in the past, but I'm sure some people still feel that way. But I have no proof, because actually it's cooled down, but now it's like weird. And I feel like, you know what? Since I saw that first, it's almost like, I don't know, I don't have any proof, but it's like hate towards people, like foreigners, like reaped hate back. But I honestly, this is not a word from God. You guys, it's not a word from God. But I saw that first. I witnessed that first, and we see America struggling right now. We see the great eagle. Eagles are so beautiful, by the way, and they're such amazing parents. They're such amazing parents, and they're beautiful. But we see the great eagle struggling right now with the foreigner situation, the immigration situation. But before there was any type, I wouldn't have even imagined this would happen. There was a lot of venom. Like, if they just sneezed incorrectly and said, you know what, I don't feel welcomed, or I wish I had more money. Or what would be something that, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to make up anything, but it would, you know what the Bible kind of calls it, like being quick to be offended. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I have to state the obvious. When you really are feeling somebody, when they first do something, you're not gonna beat the living out of them, okay? And I just have to talk to you real and plain. If that is your first interaction with their first infraction, and mind you, what you consider an infraction, you don't really like that person. And you probably should check your own heart, right? Because that's a strong reaction. Like, we've all, like, you don't have to tell me, I'm not your God, but like, we've all seen someone who their reaction was over the literal top. We've all seen someone where deep down that they were feeling some type of way, because as soon as that other person just sneezed, it was on. And that, come on, I know that some of us have had bad experiences, abusive past. Some people have struggled. No one talks about this, but there's people who have struggled being abusers, who have repented, who have changed their ways. It's rare, but it happens. So we all have different backgrounds, but ultimately, usually people learn that that is not a healthy situation. And frankly, until you meet with the Lord and figure out what's going on with the Lord, you might want to distance yourself from that person, because you don't love that person the way you should. Unless, like, there are situations where they're actually doing, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about someone provoking you. I'm talking about that this person literally just said, like, well, I missed the food back home, and then, like, you are willing to, like, spit in their food before you serve it to them. Like, that is over the top. And someone needs, I feel like there's so much. See, the reason why independents are so necessary, right, is because we are the only ones who are sober enough, measured enough, that we can still see the middle, right? Because most people, they're looking for someone to hate who they hate with them. But independents refuse to do that. And that's why we be lonely on the internet. 0 followers, right? Independents refuse to do that, right? So, quite frankly, you need someone we all need someone that says, like, this is not about her comment that she misses her food back home. I think that this is about you being offended about something about this person. And until you deal with that, you're not going to be able to walk in love with this person until you get with God and find out what it is that is the stumbling block. Okay? What is it really, truly? If someone comes and says, America, like cussing America out, that's obvious. Like, one could see how that could be inflammatory. That is inflammatory. That's directly inflammatory, and it leaves little room for interpretation. Saying I miss my food back home, or I prefer, Mexican music or something like that. That's conversation. And for you to be so angry at something that really should not even provoke any type of anger is a you problem. It's a you problem. Now, let's flip it, because I don't want to be like, oh, you never love on America. You are American. Yeah, you never love on America. Well, I think I covered that, but I will cover it in context, to be fair to my own mother country, my home country, America. There are people, like, when they, like, yes, you come and you take a husband, a wife, a job, benefits and stuff like that. The first thing that you should probably say is thank you. I mean, I feel like many people, you will see, just because people seem to get away with something, they still look bad. Like, people are rude all the time, and those people who were raised well know that they look bad, even if they're grown. So, I mean, it's not like they're gonna get popped or on the bottom or anything like that. But still, anyone who is raised well knows, wow, that is an adult that has no manners. Then you see someone who they demonstrate that they are a ungrateful, unthankful person. Well, we, unfortunately, many are egged on. We are egged on. Adults. I'm not talking about children. I'm talking about adults, both of them. Egged on by social media. Egged on by people who agree with us. But at the end of the day, anyone who is watching that is measured be like, that is a ungrateful, unthankful person. That person that is a character trait of that person. And the unfortunate part is, it's not those people that they are the ultimate judge. We are all responsible for how we conduct ourselves and the internal things going on with us. So, of course, for someone to come into America and hate on it, that is a character flaw. But you know what else is a character flaw? Because someone is a foreigner where you are born here, this is your country by birthright, and you have a pretense that this person is your equal, or maybe your equal, except that there is a little bit of a distinction because this is your birth country, and then they are trying to acquire status here. Well, then get rid of the pretense of any type of full dialogue, and if your heart is really that they must refrain from talking about certain things, that was an extreme case, but when someone says, like, I miss my food back home, or I really feel like I'm contributing to the American economy, or I feel like I really believe I can make a case, like, to be here, or something like that. Like, there's certain things where anger is not the correct response. Just because you can respond in anger does not mean that that is the correct response. And it could indicate a character flaw within yourself. Okay? Because it's either get rid of the pretense that you want the dialogue, or and end the relationship. How do you have a relationship where you want the person to just be completely silent? That's not once again, there's a lot of sick stuff going on, and that is not a relationship mate. Right? So yeah, I feel like I said, like, everything, and I know a lot is the extreme case, but that is a case directly from the Bible. The only thing they had to stand on was that Lot was a foreigner. That's it. But I feel like it's an excellent case because sometimes stuff gets extreme. So I'm like, and for those who be like, well, what about love for the country that you're in? Because I'm not an ungrateful person. I'm not an unthankful person. But I should not be muzzled when I am saying that it is wrong to be unthankful for what my country has provided. But at the same time, it is wrong for you to muzzle me or anyone else when you claim equality. And what I'm saying, especially, either I believe it is the truth or I'm trying to have a meaningful dialogue with you. Any response outside of, now you can even ignore people. You don't have to click or nothing, but any response outside of ignoring someone, clicking off someone, any response outside of engaging them in further dialogue, any response outside of asking questions, any response other than that is an inappropriate response. I stand on what I'm saying because I believe there is some, I don't know everything, and I'm still learning. Joseph. I know I'm still learning and everything, but my point is that I feel like there's some wisdom in what I'm saying, okay? Now, I suppose when you want because there are some people out there, I'm certain that maybe, because everyone has a personality and a bandwidth. And if you just want to hedge yourself completely and isolate yourself from anyone who may ever say anything that you're going to hate, then I suppose there's groups and stuff like that for you. But a mixed bag, like places like YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that, are not necessarily, unless you go to like a specific channel, and then like, I don't know if y'all are able to curate who can follow and who can be members. I think Facebook does. Unless you're able to do that, you run the risk of constantly having abrasive and potentially like just caustic social interactions with people, because you are not at a place where you can just like chill and listen, right? And I'm like, if that is you, like, quite frankly, like if that is you, then I feel like until you get to that place, maybe you could seek out like a place where, like, because I'm just saying, I'm like that friend that tells you like what you don't want to hear, but I'm trying to say it in the nicest way possible. Like, it's really, you are not tolerant. Okay, you're not like, I'm beating around the bush, but I'm not going to do that, because this channel is not about beating around. You're not a tolerant person. Okay, anytime someone disagrees on certain things, you're going to go in, and you're going to go in hard, and it's going to be caustic and abrasive. So rather than that, how about we get rid of the pretense? And for some of you out there who are not independents, you are either Democrats or you're Republicans, and you hate the other party, hey, which you should not do, by the way. You have to repent. Okay. Then what you might want to do, consider, until you get more bandwidth, right, is I think on Facebook there are groups where it's just you, right? It's just you, just people who agree with you, and you run very little risk, unless someone like trolls and tries to get into the group. And then you could just ban them. But hopefully you don't like beat the living out of them first, because they did that. But ideally you would just ban them, because that's the point of you making this group. But nonetheless, this is still not ideal, but it's a step, because some of you, I feel like you are not being honest with yourself as to where you are. Okay, you're not tolerant if that is you. Like, if the person sneezes the wrong way, you do not believe this person is your equal. I hate to like put it like that, but it's true. You do not love that person. You do not believe that this person is your equal. You are not fondly affectionate with that person. You're not on one accord. You're not fellowshipping. You are not there. So rather than pretend, rather than continue to have these clashes, until you are there, you may want to consider going where it's only copies of you. Only people who agree with what you think. And you run very little risk of having to even come into any type of interaction with someone who may think differently than you do. And as an independent, I really don't like, there's certain things I don't tolerate in my belief system, but I really have very few interactions like that. And then it's more subject, like abortion or something like that. But even then, I could still talk about abortion, but I'll stop talking at a certain point. Like, if it sounds like someone just likes killing babies, I will just stop, because I know we'll never agree on that, so it's pointless. But I have few caustic interactions, because I'm not on a hair trigger. Like, I'm not short-tempered. I'm not just waiting to like combust or explode or something like that. So as an independent, I really don't have that problem for the most part. But I just wanted to mention that. So the whole thing reminded me of Genesis 19:9. And Mr. Antoine Daniels, by the way, does not come across as Genesis 19:9, but I have heard some people, like literally the person sneezed wrong and they were like, go back where you came from. And I'm like, if that is they just said I miss Mexican food. Like, you clearly, like, I feel like you're being disingenuous. Like, you never accepted this person because nobody gets that mad, like, off of that. Okay, so you never were actually, and I'm like, if they were meeting people like you, then I could understand why they would start missing back home. I'm just being real. I'm just like, hopefully they're not, and I don't even think that they necessarily are, but I actually don't know. But I can understand why anybody would miss home if people are that offended off of nothing, off of literally nothing. Okay, and I live and breathe this. I think of Shanquella Robinson, just word for the wise. When people, like, when you are adored, appreciated, seen as an equal, when you sneeze, they are not ready to go in. Word for the wise. I know, just think of when you have loved someone, or even a little animal. When this little puppy has a mistake, your first instinct is not to throw it out of a 4-story window. When I love someone and they make a mistake or they hurt your feelings or something, your first instinct is not to get a baseball bat. Remember Shanquella Robinson? I feel like word for the wise. Just all people. When the Bible said that love is not easily offended, God was not writing poetry by itself, because he is the best poet and he has written poetry. But it's not just poetry. It is a law. If you are in a situation where the people who love you are waiting for you to fail so that they can beat the living hell out of you, they do not love you. And I'm not trying to be unkind. I'm trying to save lives out here with the truth, okay? I'm like, you do yourself a service. You do yourself a favor to accept the truth for what it is and to love God and to love yourself enough to remove yourself from those individuals. Okay, which I wish Shanquella Robinson did. We all know, if you don't have to know the other mind of the people or something, the Bible is true and the Lord is trying to save your life and other people's and everybody's life with the truth. Love is not easily offended. Sometimes you love someone so much you can barely see when they do something wrong. That's more of what the Bible says love is like. It is not that short, waiting for you to make a mistake, looking for you to make a mistake, and in worst cases, setting you up to make a mistake so that they can put hands, fists, boots on you. This is not love, and I'm sorry that there's so much just failure to preach what love actually is from the Word of God, from God himself, who is love, right? But nonetheless, I speak the truth. I speak wisdom. Love will set you up for success. Love will Be very patient. Love is not rude. This is not poetry. And I pray that y'all, well, it is poetry. As a poet, it is poetry. I say the Lord is the best poet. But it is laws. The Lord is the one who can write laws down in poetry. The laws that run the very world that we live in. Okay? And do it effortlessly. I can't do that, but he can. These laws, take them seriously, because they would have saved Shanquella Robinson's life. When you love, it is difficult. It is difficult to approach someone in an aggressive manner because you love that person. Matter of fact, if it might hurt you more to tell them the truth than it hurts them to hear it, right? It might hurt them more to call you on your mess because you don't want to see that person fail, but you know that you need to see them succeed, and one way to do that is constructive criticism. Like, I know that this is your dream job, you know, Bill, this is your dream job, but I gotta tell you, it's been on my mind, it's been on my heart. I love you, man, but you've been like an hour late every day, and I feel like, I know you want this job, I know that that you're meant for it, but you got to take it more seriously. You got to take it more seriously. You got to take your life more seriously. And this is how real friends talk to each other. That's how real friends talk to each other. Okay? If you can't tell the truth, you don't have a real friendship. Okay? And if you're enjoying going in and you enjoy bombing someone, you don't really like them. Okay? That's real love right there. Like, Bill, like, I know that this is meant for you, but you gotta come to work on time. You gotta take it more seriously. Okay? That's real. And I'm sorry that so many of you don't know what healthy human interaction is. But that doesn't mean we can all change this world for a better place, one person at a time, one interaction at a time. Okay? You can even, use your failures. And if the person will let you, because sometimes they won't, but sometimes a person will let you apologize, because sometimes they won't. And you can build on that. We can build a better world, one interaction at a time. That's all it takes. That's all it takes, is one healthy interaction at a time. And then be like, okay, well, yesterday I was that person. I literally said, go to HE double hockey sticks, because she was like, well, I love our culture better. But then I'm like, what's healthy? Like, provided, because someone could be like, but how do you know someone's ungrateful if you don't let them speak, right? Some people are, you will like, oh, this is just a ungrateful person. You'll have that in naturally born people here, like, but nonetheless, you have to let them speak in order to hear, so that you can know, right? If you don't let them speak, you can't know where your heart is, so that you can know, you know what? I'm not being impatient. This person is ungrateful. This person is ignorant, right? They come here, they get all this stuff, and they're like, just, but I believe that they should not be muzzled, because that's not healthy. And then it makes us look pretentious when we say that equal rights, right? All human beings are equal. At the same time, I believe in honesty. So if I'm that friend, or even in the comments, and you really do sound ungrateful, I've listened to everything you had to say. I'm not just assuming, and I'm definitely not just saying, just because you're a foreigner, you have to be ungrateful. Like, well, maybe someone really did spit in your food. Maybe they really did screw you over in court. Like, maybe, you know, they didn't call you in on your date or something. Like, maybe you were like profiled, but regardless of that, after hearing what you have to say, how can I know you are like ungrateful or something if I don't listen to you? So first I have to hear the matter, and then I can judge whether or not what I'm hearing is someone who is simply communicating that they miss back home, or that they will always love their mother country more, but that they deeply appreciate the opportunities that they are experiencing here in America. Or in certain instances, because what if they rise to like a public figure or something like that? Are they still supposed to be Muslim? That's what I'm saying. That this is messy. It's messy. And the root of it that no one wants to hear is love. That's why it's so messy. It is messy because, ladies and gentlemen, it is a character flaw for me to go to any country unthankful and unappreciative that they have accepted me in. But at the same time, Genesis 19:9 stands. Just because I'm a foreigner in your country, if you are in error, first I have to decide, I have to discern, am I the one that should point it out? Okay, how bad is it? And am I the one? Is it wisdom that I pointed out? Especially since I'm a foreigner, I'm new here. But at the same time, error is error. They wouldn't have been, if they was walking in love, they wouldn't have been aggressing toward those angels and towards Lot. It's all messy, but the root of it is love. Then you have a situation where you literally kind of stoke the flames, and you have people who do kind of miss home a bit. They sneeze, they say the wrong trigger word, go back home, go back where you came from. You cannot honestly say that you fully accepted them. You cannot, I refuse for you to insult my intelligence that way. Because if that is a hair trigger, fast and reactive response. And if that was it, the person didn't stand a chance with you. And then I'm concerned how many of you there are, right? That would then make the problem. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you have people, some who are ungrateful, some who are unthankful. Those are character flaws. You won't fix that in some people, right? But at the same time, there's people in your own country, our home country, who are ungrateful and unthankful people, right? But at the same time, I would not. You have this situation where it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy potentially, because people can feel, even if you don't say it, people can feel when they're being treated unjustly. Even if they cannot articulate it, even if they cannot, people can feel bias. And there's certain, I don't have a problem with bias. See, it's not a problem until you start sinning. You're biased for your children, correct? You're going to prefer your wife to me, correct? A complete stranger to you, right? At least you should, right? How about you're biased toward your bestie and your best friend, Or you prefer your dog and not my dog. Those are biases. That's okay. How about like, well, you have a coworker. Now, hopefully if I needed a job, this wouldn't. But it's still kind of understandable. You love your coworker space. You love your job. And y'all are actually, it's a good environment. But then I want to apply. Well, now you're messing with my family, my money. So I'm still going to pursue. But as long as you don't like mistreat me or something like that, it's understandable that if you have a situation where everybody literally is happy, that you might feel uncomfortable with a new person coming in who might mess that up. But as long as I'm not harassed, as long as I'm not berated, as long as I'm, then your bias is your affair. It is not sin. And people have made this sin, and that is incorrect. They're in error. It is not sin until you sin. Like, go back home. Go back where you came from, right? Once you spoke that, now you have sinned. well, there you go. Now you have, right? But people can feel that. And it's not a good feeling. And quite frankly, it's the kindergarten. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? Nobody, and don't nobody want to go where they're the only one. And then when they make a mistake or something like that, like I said, I would want, but I don't have that, but I'm keep praying about it, but I would like to know someone there. Now, if the weather is crazy, unless the Lord heals my sinuses, I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? I think the Lord gonna have me somewhere where he's either gonna heal my sinuses or have me somewhere where the winter is not harsh, But I prefer to be, because as an independent who don't hate nobody, wherever I go, I'm gonna be thankful and appreciative. And then it's just a judgment call. Like, am I the best person? Sometimes it is like, am I the best person to say this since I'm new? Because it could be taken the wrong way. But nonetheless, I'm gonna put it on all of us. So I'm gonna put this out there, because it all gets back to love. And the reason why people, I think, sometimes don't preach this and don't say it is because it gives the delusion that you escape responsibility, which none of us escape responsibility, right? We're all going to be held accountable how we treat other people down here in this next life. But to all the foreigners, and I'm thinking about being one of you, but I couldn't do it here because I'm born here. So I'm thinking about doing it, in a European country or something. To all the foreigners out there, it is a character flaw to be unthankful and ungrateful. But at the same time, you're a whole entire human being. I refuse to put a muzzle on you. Do not be muzzled. But at the same time, are you a ungrateful or unthankful person? That is a whole entire character flaw. I hope that you were raised better than that, because don't nobody like that, except for, other ungrateful and unthankful people, unfortunately. But I don't like to hang around ungrateful and unthankful people. And then also, like, just, is it wise? Because you're new. And then some people I know firsthand, they cannot see foreigners as equal, because if they did, because it goes back to the heart, out of the abundance of the mouth speaks. If they did that would not be their first go-to. Like, get the hell out. Like, there's something deeper there, okay? So that can't be it. But at the same time, you could be like, just out of respect, is this the best time? And am I the best person to point out this? Like, there's a lot of crime here. Like, these streets are not clean or safe, right? Are you the best person because you're brand new? And actually, we know about our problems, but we do. But once again, I refuse to muzzle you. If I come into any type of interaction with you as an independent, I will be more so looking at what is your character. Because if you have a poor character, I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. If you are an ungrateful person, I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. But if you are a measured and decent human being, I will listen to what you have to say. I don't care where you came from, because you are human. You're a human being, okay? And I refuse to have you muzzled, or even witness you being muzzled without dissenting against that, okay? But at the same time, for all of you who are not foreigners, fellow Americans, right? Did you listen to what they said? Did you ask questions? What is the character of the person before you tell them to go? I can't say what some of you said, but like, what is the character of this person? Then sometimes, like, no one, like, cause I'm not gonna, cause I know some of you, you're right. Know when you're talking to someone and you're not gonna make any progress. Okay. A adult that is a ungrateful person, that is a unthankful person, that is a hard nut to crack. Okay. So before getting really caustic, because that's not good, that's not Jesus. Like, rather than getting really aggressive and really caustic, you might just speak your piece and then just bounce, just roll out, like, you really need to be more grateful. You really should be trying to figure out how you can give back to the land that is giving you so much. But at the same time, I respect your right to have an opinion, but I believe that the opinion that you have formulated is based on your lack of appreciation for pretty much anything that we have done for you. And you literally were able to articulate without being terribly caustic and without assuming everything, because they literally just said, like, I really would rather have my food back home. Like, something like, you actually ascertain what and where they're coming from before adjudicating them back to where they came from. And I feel like that is a healthier way to move forward for everybody. Okay, so I'm gonna try to put the link down, and for those who may be lost, it has nothing to do with Genesis 19:19, except Genesis 19:19 is an excellent example of a very hateful environment in which one party is justifying their error solely on the basis of being born in that land. And it is extreme, but it is an excellent example of where we never want to be. And I certainly wouldn't want to be in that situation as a foreigner, because wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong. So, like, definitely pray before you just up and move somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Because wrong is wrong. And what they were doing is really wrong, Sodom and Gomorrah. But nonetheless, their focal point was that they were born there. And I'm like, well, you may be born here, but your behavior is egregious. And now it rises above the level of what was to them. Their primary focus was their standing, you know, their standing in regards to where they were born, their birthland. But to God, his primary focus was the abomination. So that's another way to look at the whole thing too. Okay. Immigration is a factor, but there are many factors on the mind of God right now. And so we want to make sure that, because I'm actually I usually don't really touch it much in regards to immigration, but we can respect that it is a factor that needs to be addressed and it needs to be orderly. But we also must respect, especially when we're about to consider passing out muzzles, what is this person saying? Is there any merit to it? Because there are certain things that are even more important than immigration, as Genesis 19:9 shows, okay, which is abominations, right? So may God bless anyone who, may God bless you with wisdom, all of us. May God bless all of us with wisdom in how we talk to and interact with each other. May God limit caustic and corrosive interactions, especially that aggress, okay, and detract from our peace, detract from the quality of our lives, right? And deadly interactions. And may God give us all wisdom in how to better communicate, how to more effectively communicate, but most importantly, to say what he would say in the situation. And wow, something more. May God bless us with silence when the best thing to say is nothing at all. And I think in some cases, in many cases, nothing is the best thing to say, right? But may God bless us all with wisdom, and may we all be thankful and grateful that he is patient with us, and may we in turn use some of that patience for our fellow human beings. Okay. All right. Bye.